There it is.
All right, welcome back to When Joshua Speaks, Brains, Brawn, and Life. This is your host, Joshua El Venenoso Rodriguez, and I have a guest all the way from the Great White North, Mr. Rodolfo Velasquez. How you doing, sir?
Good man. How are you?
Doing great, man. Thank you for taking some time to join me. Like I said a little bit earlier, I follow your content. It's funny, but it's also a real life boxing perspective from a personal standpoint, and I really appreciate what you're doing. So I had to reach out, and I was like, man, I hope this guy will come on my show, man. Just like we could chop it up for a little bit.
Man, I'm open to talk to anyone and everyone, especially when it comes to boxing. For sure.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. So let's do like this. Let's just start a little bit. You're in Ontario, Canada. So a lot of people on my show, this is my first guest also from outside of the United States.
Yeah.
You're in Ontario, Canada. Let's start from the beginning. Like, where are you from? How did you get started? And let's go from there.
So what it is I was born in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. For those who don't know where that is, that's basically right in between Toronto and Niagara Falls. So it's like 40 minutes each way, not including traffic. So Toronto's horrible for traffic. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's yeah, so that's where I was born and raised. My parents are Salvadorian, so both were born in El Salvador and they came here, relatively young. So yeah, so that's how I ended up born here. Born here, born Canadian, but Salvadorian blood. And then
Salvatrucha.
what's that?
Salvatrucha.
Of course. So the way I got into boxing was I was a 10-year-old kid, and it's funny enough, I was at a buffet with my dad, well, with the whole family, and my dad knew this guy that was working there. He was a boxer, and I didn't know who he was. So they was just talking, and my dad said, "Okay, my kid's young, he's super hyper, but I need to get him to burn energy somewhere and then learn how to defend himself while at it." So he recommended the boxing gym that he goes to. So I think a month went by. We went into that gym, tried it out, Gregori's Boxing Club, and here we are. Um, yeah, 21 years later, still there.
McCoy's Boxing Club. So tell the audience a little bit about the club, about the Fight Club, because a lot of people might not be familiar with your boxing club.
Okay, so McGrory's Boxing Club has been around since the 1960s. Tim McGrory was the original owner until my coach, Vinny Ryan, took over. One day, Tim McGrory gave the gym to my coach, Vinny Ryan, and he's I believe since the 80s he's been running the gym until a couple years ago when he passed. So he he's actually raised quite a lot of national champions, and he was on the Canadian national team as a coach, and he's gone to many Olympics, many world championships and such. And he's even coached the likes of former world champion Adonis Stevenson.
Oh yeah,
Lennox Lewis is another one. He's had
nice.
in the corner since the amateur days. Um, yeah, there was even a time that once upon a time on the national team. Usually there's a few weight classes. Usually there's about like 10 weight classes, roughly something like that. And about half of the people on the national team were just from our gym alone. I was a junior at the time, so I was like not on the senior team. I was a junior at the time, so I wasn't quite yet with like the older guys, but I was still on the
Okay.
national team at that time. And man, what a time.
So talk about that a little bit. What was that environment like for you? I mean, as a young kid, you weren't sure yet. Like you said, you got started around 10 years old and you got into that gym. And how did that shape you, one, as a person from your adolescence as a child, growing up into teenage years, which we all know can be kind of tough, but then um, becoming a boxer?
It definitely keeps you it keeps you grounded. It keeps you very disciplined because especially as a teenager, you could get easily influenced by friends, and friends at that age, they could do anything. There's some that they get into sports. There's some that unfortunately, they go the bad route. They get into the drugs, they get into the drinking as super young and get
Yeah.
into partying and whatnot. So me being in the boxing gym, that's where I lived. That's basically where I lived. If I wasn't at home or at school, I'd be in the boxing gym. And so that kept me disciplined. I had goals because when I was that little kid walking to the gym, I seen those older fighters, not even like, well, older than me. They was like between 14
Yeah.
years old to like the very early 20s. So, and I'm seeing the work that they're doing. I see them going in the ring and sparring, and I hear about the championships that they're going to, the championships that they've won. I said, I want to be that guy. So
Nice.
what's a guy where they said like, he just won the gold medal in the what you guys call the states, we call the province. Um,
Okay.
yeah, provincial champion. So it's like,
I got you. Yeah.
I want that. So I would actually get in the ring with these guys. Almost every day I was getting outboxed. I was getting slapped around by these guys almost daily, but every day I just kept coming back because I said one day I'm going to reach these guys' level. And I can't do that if I'm not challenging myself. If I'm not, you know, if I'm not facing the best, then how am I going to improve? And I
Absolutely.
honestly feel like in my humble opinion, I don't feel like I was the most flashiest talented boxer, but I feel like I was extremely hardworking that it made up for it. Because in sports and boxing, talent can only take you so far. But if you don't have that dog in you, you don't have that discipline, you're
Yeah.
you're gonna limit yourself. Now, now somebody that is extremely dangerous is somebody who is both talented and disciplined. Now, I mean, outside of boxing, look at Lionel Messi. That guy has all the talent in the world, but he
Yeah.
works extremely hard to go with it, and that's why he is who he is. So, um, Floyd Mayweather, another one,
Yeah.
extremely talented, still in the gym to this day at his age, just to keep fit and and whatnot, and trains like he's gonna have a fight. So
Absolutely.
look at what
And
he's
like how
done.
you make those, I like how you make those references to soccer or football.
Yeah,
Um, I also, my first love was actually basketball. So you said something to me that stood out. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was talking
that.
about a player one time, and he said talent has a shelf life.
Mhm.
So, like to your point, you can have so much talent, but it'll only take you to a certain level without that discipline and without that drive and without the right mentorship and goals, right? So I
Yeah.
think you having a good coach, which how much was your dad involved also with like trying to push you into that? I mean, obviously he introduced you to the gym, he introduced you to the coach, but like was he in the gym with you while you were working and everything?
What the funny thing is, my dad was never a boxer. He was actually a soccer player, an extremely good one. So
Okay.
he understands discipline. He understands like the drive, the the work ethics you need to have to get to reach a certain level.
Yeah.
So he would drive me to the gym every single day. So every day that the gym was open for me to go, I'm there. As he works 10-hour days. So
Yeah.
it's picked up at 5 in the morning. He comes home around I don't know, 4 or 5 in the evening, just drops off his lunch bag, and you'll be like, all right, son, let's go to the boxing gym. First thing he does.
Nice.
And he was there. He would sit there and he would just, he just sit there. Him, my mom, they sit there and they watch me train. And then they take me home as soon as it's done. They'd be there at all my fights that they could go to. Um, and then, as teenagers, usually teenagers, you have to work. For yeah, most teachers they get or teenagers they get like a part-time job. I didn't have that. I had the full support of my family. That's why I say like your parents is a major influence when it comes to your sports. When it comes to boxing, they are a major influence because believe it or not, they can like make or break a career. And like it all starts from home too.
Yeah,
So they
absolutely.
were there. Like if I needed gloves, they'd give me what they could, because because my parents they were hardworking people, so they weren't exactly they weren't rich, they weren't like
Yeah.
well off, but we were good, we were good enough, and they got me what they could. So because I had what I needed and I was happy with it, and I just
Yeah.
went with what I had and always had the full support of everything. So that's why I was able to make it to the level that I did.
That's beautiful, bro. Like I like to hear about that because, as a father myself, I have a son who's turning 27 in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And, he played all sports. He was like baseball, basketball, tennis. Like he did all kinds of, he didn't take the boxing route, but now he's a Olympic weightlifter and personal fitness coach. And again, I think it was because of the fact of my presence there, right? That
It's
I knew
huge.
I was a little bit less fortunate because my dad was not around, but
Hmm.
it shaped me and molded me to say, okay, well, I know what not to do. So this is what I'm going to do for my son and always be there to support him the way like your parents did for you. So I appreciate you, sharing that story. Do you remember like what it was like when they first got you the gloves and they were like, okay, now you can go in the gym and now you can really use these brand new gloves and break them in?
Yeah, no, like it's funny because before boxing, I was in karate, and
Okay.
yeah, I was in karate before boxing. See, through karate is where I learned that I did have that fight in me because you do the kumite open sparring, grappling, and
Yeah.
whatnot
Yeah.
competition. So it's like even then, I'm like I wanted to be the best in everything that I was doing. So I learned. So I knew then that I had that dog in me. That I'm like, all right, like I got that drive. When it gets tough, I'm gonna push through. So
Yeah.
that carried on to boxing, and that helped me in so many ways. That and then like that's when I had like these pair of boxing gloves that they had there. So I brought that over to the boxing gym and started just using those. So it's kind of like I was super happy. I remember just being so excited when I had those gloves. I'm like, yo, this is so cool. I can use this. And for the Kumite sparring and everything, it was great.
You
And
can
yeah,
punch people without getting in trouble.
yeah. It's so funny because I was never a person that was like, aggressive or violent or everything. I was more the
Yeah.
laid back, chill. I'm a
Okay.
chill guy. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Dragon Ball Z or anything. The
Yeah.
character Gohan basically perfectly describes me. I would do everything to avoid confrontation, but once I'm at a point, once you've crossed the line, you're done for.
That was actually a question I was going to ask later on, but I noticed that on your profile is like you have this love and fascination for anime and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
where did that come from?
I've always been a fan of anime ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
To my earliest childhood memories. It's Dragon Ball Z, of course, and
Yeah.
came Naruto. I wasn't a fan of One Piece.
And
But it just came from that because it's cool because even then the show it's funny and there's a lot of cool fight scenes, but there's a lot of real quotes in there that like teaches you like, okay, you are going nowhere if you aren't willing to put in the work. Goku is a character where he wanted to face the best, even if he didn't think he could beat them. He trains as if like he's going to surpass them, and that's exactly what he wanted. So,
yeah.
um, and it's even like life and death situations for them. It's like they'll find a way. There's no giving up on them.
I didn't get really deep into it, but I remember watching fights with Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo and all those guys, and I was just kind of like, man, this is a really cool cartoon. But I guess after a while, I kind of went in just a different direction. But it seems like you really stayed with it with all the new episodes and
Yeah.
like that. Like what some of the anime that I watched when I was younger was like the old school stuff, like Akira.
Mm-hmm.
There was Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll was one of like my favorite ones. I'll never
Yeah,
forget
that was
that one.
cool.
That was a dope movie. Uh,
That was great. I'm still a fan
uh,
of Pokemon.
yeah, exactly, right? Like I mean, like it's just it kind of when you're a kid, you see these mysterious things and like the imagination that the creators have for these shows, and I still will always be a fan. Like I'm even now gotten into more of the animated series of like on Netflix and things like that that'll come out for like Splinter Cell. Um
Yeah.
what's and there was another one that I was watching like the What Ifs for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
You watch
like I
Arcane, that's
still
a good one.
yeah, like I mean it's still it's more creative and to me it actually comes out a little bit better than some of the actual new movies, the live movies as they call it, I guess.
Yeah, live action movies. Yeah.
The live action movies exactly. So you progress from a child, you start young and you become really competitive. And now you're getting into like Canadian championships. You're getting into Golden Gloves. Talk to me a little bit about your championship wins, your championship journey, and then your Golden Glove wins, your Golden Glove journey, and things like that.
So, um, the when it comes to Canadian championships, I had to fight through two of them before I was able to win a gold medal.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because I remember when I was 13, I competed and I lost the first fight, though it was
Yeah.
only four of us, so I got a bronze medal, even though I never won a fight.
Yeah.
But the guy I
Learn
lost to eventually did win the gold medal. He was also 2 years older than me, so
something.
so I said, all right, um, I know what level I need to reach. So the next year comes, again, I lose the first fight, but it was much closer at the time. So I was like, all right, we're getting there. I mean, of course, I was upset that this is the second time in a row that I went to nationals
Yeah.
and lose the first fight, even though the provincials and the provincial championships, I would win those no problem. Go to nationals, it's a different level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both times a charm. So I come in and I have 3 fights. First guy off the bat, he was older. He was taller, longer reach. And I said,
Longer
oh,
reach.
God, this
Yeah.
guy is insanely tall.
Just
But
straight jabbing you from the outside, right? Like,
yeah, yeah, but it was just okay. I need to fight on the inside, so that's what I did. So I had to do what I had to do, and then eventually, yeah, the finals come in, and I went. So I win that, and it was the happiest moment of my life. I was 15 years old when I won nationals for the first time,
that's a
and
great.
I was still young for that division. Because in
Okay.
that division, it's for 16 and 17 years old. I
Oh,
went in as
really?
a 15-year-old. My coach, he upgraded me early. He goes, you know what? There's more benefits to going to the nationals at this category than the
Okay.
category at your age. And I'm
Okay.
very confident that you'll go in and you'll win this whole thing. He was super confident, even though the 2 years before, I didn't even win the first fight. But I don't know. He knew it. He just because of the other fights in between, the not last nationals to that one, all the fights in between, he started seeing the progress. He started seeing it. He started seeing things that I didn't. So he had that confidence. He said, "You're gonna win this year. I'm putting you here." So,
Yeah.
so after I won the whole thing, that's when it was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like, I'm on the national team, which now I get to go travel and compete for Canada, which you wouldn't as a 15 or as the category of the age below. You wouldn't be able to.
Okay.
You're still technically
Okay.
young or whatever, but 16, 17-year olds, you could. So it
So you
was
got
really
a little bit of a head start compared to some of the other guys in your age group.
yeah. Yeah, it was just way better. The competition was definitely tough because they were older. You feel the physical power. They had a little bit more physical power, but it was
Right.
just the boxing ability that I had. The experience. I used my speed to the advantage, so that's what I did. And my coach knew that. He said like he said that this will be your advantage. You can use it. You go ahead, you got this. So I ended up
That's what.
winning the whole thing. It's just never giving up. That's all it is at the end of the day. You just don't give up. You go and you train like you're going to win the whole thing, that you're confident enough that you will win the whole thing. Do your thing, and it's in God's hands from there.
True. And the fact that your coach still had belief in you after the losses, right? Like I think a lot of times what happens is from what I've seen, it's not everybody, right? But what I've seen is there's some coaches that see these guys lose and they're like, well, you just don't got what it takes, right?
Mm,
And they're not
those are
really seeing inside of the fighter. And he saw, I think it sounds like to me, he saw something inside of you, like you said, you're gonna win this one. So he had the faith in you and the confidence in you to take it to that next level. Now, in Canada, you help me understand a little bit. Canada is not considered like a big global, that's not under the global spotlight of boxing. Obviously, in the Olympics, Canada is always competitive. My father was Cuban, so I always watch like the Cuban fighters. But what do you think is unique about Canada when it comes to started competing in the Olympics and then moving into the pros? Is there something unique about Canadian fighters?
something unique about Canadian fighters. It's the fact that the Canadian fighters know that they have a lot to prove because they know that they're not globally known or respected as other parts of the world, especially like
Yeah,
the likes of America or the UK and such.
yeah,
But I mean, these days, Canada's receiving a lot more respect. That's because of the quality of the training that the Canadians are slowly getting. It's slowly becoming better, though there's still a lot more to be worked on. We still don't get the kind of like fundings, we don't get the kind of opportunities like say the Americans do. We
yeah.
go with what we got. We do with what we have, and I still say that Canada's really rising up to the occasions. I mean, um, even even MVP, they signed a few Canadians. There's about 3 of them, I believe right now. No, there are 4 right now who are signed. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so and then there's been other Canadians who's been out there. Lennox Lewis is in fact a Canadian, though I think he was born in the UK and then
Yeah.
he raised in Canada for
Okay.
yeah, he won gold for Canada. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, in the pros he went in and represented the UK and whatnot, but he is in fact considered a Canadian at the end of the
I'm
day.
glad you brought up his name because I do think of him as a UK fighter. And
Yeah,
sometimes I forget that he was raised in Canada. But
yeah,
the greatest heavyweights that I think he's respected people know he was a great heavyweight, but there's still a lot of talk of other heavyweights compared to Lennox Lewis. And I remember a lot of people laugh at me when I say this, but the introduction of the Lennox Lewis David Tua fight was one of the most exciting like introductions to fights that I remember as a kid, when I was younger watching. Then those two guys going at it, right? You had the Lennox Lewis was like the giant, and David Tua is a short, stocky,
Yeah.
you know, like and they were coming in, and the Lennox Lewis had the heavy dance hall reggae music playing for his introduction because of his Jamaican heritage, and David
Yeah.
Tua had the Hawaiian, you know, Polynesian drums, and they were like banging away at it and stuff. And I loved it. So it's just like that was one of the coolest introductions ever to me that I ever saw. And I really like Lennox Lewis's style because he would pick apart his opponents. He used
That's
that
what it was.
punch, you know, that jab. One of the things he said, he would always say science, science wins.
The
And
smarter box wins.
smarter box. That's what he's basically saying is the smarter boxer wins. So did you get to meet Lennox Lewis? And also, what other like professional fighters have you kind of interacted with through your boxing journey? And which one do you think maybe had the most, I don't know, the biggest impression on you, or maybe had the most influence on you growing up through your boxing?
Yeah, like I met Lennox Lewis on like a couple occasions here and there. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a few years and whatnot, but I do see him around at the pro shows over here in Ontario. Yeah, no, like I met him on a couple occasions. George Chuvalo is probably one of our most respected Canadian boxers ever, if not the most respected boxer ever. I mean,
Okay.
that guy back in his day, he fought everybody. Fought the prime George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali twice, Floyd Patterson. I'm not sure if he fought Kenny Norton. I'm not sure, but you know, like he's fought those guys back when it was the 15-round fights. You've seen those gloves, those, oh man. And he's never been knocked down ever.
Yeah.
By none of those guys. Yeah, and it's like I haven't seen George in a while. He's older now, so he doesn't really come out as much anymore. But I used to see him at the local shows all the time, and you know, I'd sit and talk to him. He'll tell me, you know, he'd give me life advice, boxing advice, and everything. And I feel like George Chuvalo definitely was one of the biggest influences because the first time I met him, I was 14 years old. He watched me fight, and that's when, you know, started talking to him. Really great guy, and pretty much most of the Canadian boxers that like you probably seen, like I do know them, especially the ones nowadays because I grew up with them in the amateurs or seen them or maybe fought them, you know, or I was on the national team with them. So yeah,
What do you think?
I've seen firsthand.
And that's I mean that's a great environment to be around. Like I think to have those people, you know, just be in your presence and you can kind of talk to them. Was there anyone that kind of like I saw like a clip of you and Roy Jones Jr. Like was there any one of them gave you like a little bit of advice? Not just necessarily, it could be fighting advice in the ring, but like advice for you that really kind of resonated and stayed with you for probably throughout the rest of your career. Like, man, that was some really good advice. I'm glad he gave it to me. Was there one like
is this a Canadian boxer or just
anyone? Canadian, any guy that you met that you felt like was at a pro level that you really admired, you respected, and you was like, man, I'm really glad I got to talk to this guy.
Yeah, you know what? There's been quite a few. Even I even met Mike Tyson, and he was just, you know, he was a really solid guy. He was just a great person. Nonito Donaire was definitely another one. Like I hung out with him a couple times, and yeah, we sat talked boxing, and yeah, no, like the advice that he was given, he was actually like just physically also showing me some things, you know, like different types of head movements, like okay, how to sit on your punches a little better. It's like, whoa, this is really cool. Now the fact that you know, a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famers will take the time to actually show somebody, you know, they don't owe us anything, but the fact that they will do that anyways, you know, for somebody they don't know, it shows a lot about character. So um I feel like it's not what they say, it's their act, you know, what they do. It's what spoke a lot. And and that's being, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how much you accomplish. At the end of the day, we are all human beings, and it is a great deed to pass on the knowledge from one to another.
Absolutely. I made a post about that recently. So my coach, Christian Quiet Riot Steel, was a former pro and kind of a journeyman around the welterweight division. He grew up in Philly. He was from Philly, but he fought from Philly all the way down to Florida and in a
Yeah.
few other places. He's not a name that you might say was like a flashy name, but everybody who knows him said, yo, that guy could fight.
Yeah.
And to as me now as a coach, I've been coaching for a few years now, like to learn from him. I started later in life. I started like in my early 30s, and I fought in Masters division and amateur and USA boxing. And then I traveled through to like Philippines, Panama, Costa Rica, and I competed in some of the amateur tournaments there. But I always came back to him and his wisdom, even though he's younger than me, his wisdom and fighting experience is something that always resonates with me, not as a fighter, but also as a human, as a man. And I always want to take what he's given me to pay it forward also, you know, to the people who I'm coaching and when I teach a class or a private client or whatever the case is. And I think that's something that I'm glad you could share with us because, you know, like you said, they don't owe us anything.
Yeah.
They don't. Like, they could easily say, I'm not going to talk to this guy, but if they really see something in you, they're going to want to share that with you. And that's what I want to do is just pay that forward to the next age or group of fighters that have it there. So let's talk a little bit about that mentality, right? Like when you were about to fight in your younger years, what kind of mentality do you think you had with like a switch? What was it that turned it on? Like obviously when you're training, you're prepared, you're conditioned, you know you're ready, but was there a switch at a certain time and moment when you were ready to fight that you could turn on or off and say, I'm locked in? Was there something like that for you that happened? Like some people talk about that, how they get into this zone where they're locked in. Did that happen to you?
Oh yeah, and it's so funny because it's always like that when I'm on a regular day. You know, I'm just relaxed. I'm chilling. I'm I like to joke around a lot, but even then, when I'm in the change room, just getting my stuff on, I'm starting to warm up. I'll still joke around and everything. It's because I know, like, you know, if I'm like too focused, if I'm too like locked in too early, I'll get mentally exhausted because it can be mentally exhausting just being like so like intense the whole entire time. So I like to be relaxed. Now, once it was like, okay, time to get the gloves on, that's when I'm locked in. It's just like an automatic switch. Okay, now it's go time. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're about to walk into writing an exam. So leading into it, you know, you're relaxed, like, all right, I'm well prepared. You're only confident if you did the work, if you are prepared. Because if you're going into a fight and you did not prepare to your fullest, you didn't do everything that you had to do to get ready, that's when you will be nervous. That's when your mind's everywhere. Because you know deep inside you did not fully prepare for this.
Yeah.
Like
You're
the other
just
people that
focused.
studying, you're like, oh man, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Same feeling. So when you've done the work and you are absolutely prepared, you've got nothing to worry about because that's when you believe in yourself. So that's why I can go in the change room and just, you know, joke around and relax. It's like, okay, time to go put the gloves on. All right, now I'm locked in. Now it's time to go. I'm
Yeah.
prepared. I'm ready to go. It's time now. Now,
Vamos a trabajar. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
exactly. This person is in my way. I got to get through them.
Exactly. Who was the and I know you fought a lot of guys, right? Like I mean I was just kind of like checking out your box rec here a little bit. And it looks
Oh
like
man, Boxrec is
I know, trust me, bro. I know. I just like I said, I was just checking it out a little bit. I take it for a grain of salt, right? Like there's
Yeah.
hardly anything
They don't
that's
even have half my
accurate.
fights recorded. I'm like, wow.
When I look at box rec, sometimes I'm just like, are you not keeping up with what's happening to these fighters?
Yeah, because they don't really care for the amateurs like they do the
Uh,
pros.
Exactly. The reason why I'm asking that, like I said, I just brought it up from the fact that I was just looking at some of the names. I wanted to ask you, was there one fighter that you either beat or lost, doesn't matter, that you remember like that was my toughest effing fight? Like this guy was tough as nails. Like who's that guy for you?
Shout out to Lucas Body.
Lucas Biden. Shout out, brother. Okay.
Yeah.
What was it about Lucas that was so tough for you?
See what it is, because Lucas was he was a very respected boxer well, not was, is very respected boxer in Canada now all over the world too. He's ranked
Yeah.
number 2 by the WBA, so at the lightweight division. So he's super respected. Now the thing was, in the amateurs, Lucas was still knocking guys out. So his power is real. And this is at a time where it's same day weigh-ins. You may weigh in 8 o'clock in the morning and then you have to fight 1 in the afternoon. Or you weigh in at 8, fight at 7. And it's like the fact that you don't get a 24-hour rehydration and you can still go in and knock guys out like that with those softer amateur gloves, it's incredible. Now,
I
the
mean,
fact is I was just moving up weight. I was going from 123 to 132 to face him. And most people didn't think that I would last, just simply the fact that I was just so much smaller. But by then I couldn't make 123 no more. I was so drained. So moving up to 132, I was able to keep on 9 pounds. So 9 pounds, I'm able to use that just towards just building some muscle. So
yeah.
and my stamina was there better than ever. And the speed was definitely there. So that's where I felt like I was super confident going into the fight that I could pull off the what they call the upset. But he was incredibly tough to where anything I threw or hit him with, it was like nothing. I said, "Oh Lord." I remember I gave him a 2-piece combo. It was like a straight right and then the left hook. I sat on those punches and I gave it everything and he just like nothing. I said, "Oh Lord. What now?" I said, "What do I do now?"
What do I do now?
Yeah, like anything you threw, he just kept coming. He
Yeah.
kept coming and you just, he tried to dig at your body, he tried to take out your body, and then he just tried to take you out, period.
Coach
And
Vinny, can you put some bricks on my gloves real quick?
yeah, I was like, hey, somebody check if there's bricks in there. And this guy might have been watching Antonio Margarito. But no, it's but no, it's just, he's
Oh,
built incredibly strong and he knows how to sit on his punches. He knows how to set them up. So he can box. He wasn't much of like a brawler. It's just that physically he's so strong that he can just cut the ring off. He knows how to put the pressure on and just break away at your body. So that's what makes it really tough. And he can take everything you throw at him.
so he's strong, tough, high ring IQ,
Yeah.
good timing. What about
Yeah.
his speed?
Um, I will say that I had the faster hands.
Okay.
That's where my advantage came in, was that I had the faster hands. It's
Okay.
just something that beats speed is timing, and he had
Yep.
time.
He
He
had the
knew how to
timing.
he knew how to time your punches. But that's the thing. Like, I took advantage of the fact that for him to time it, he had to take the time to sit on those shots. And because I would never really, that was facing him was something where I didn't really sit on my shots too much. Only
Okay.
when I knew that, okay, like I have a chance here. But most of the time it's like touch and go, touch and go. Um, because somebody with heavy hands, they need time to sit on their punches and let their hands go.
Yeah,
So I took
absolutely.
advantage. I felt like I had to take advantage of that.
So I think that's a great experience. Like one of the things that I learned and that I teach that you also mentioned and obviously you probably teach this as well, is that guys come in, they're very much into looking for power or they're looking into speed, but the timing will always beat that. And I
Mhm.
think that you had a great coach in order to teach you how to take advantage of those three weapons, so to speak, right? Like for your game plan. I know you lost your coach in 23, so I'm sorry for your loss. I lost my wife in 23, so I can kind of feel
Sorry to
what
hear, man.
going through. Likewise, bro. Talk to me a little bit about your coach, Vinny Ryan. How much of an influence? There's always there's talks about coaches who are mentors, who are like father figures, and I know you touched on it a little bit in one of your posts, but talk to us about Vinny. Let's get a little bit into that if you don't mind. I mean, I don't want it to,
No, no, it's all
but
good. I'm
you don't
actually
mind,
happy to
yeah.
talk about it. No, like,
Okay,
yeah, because I want everyone to know what a man Vinny was. Because
cool.
he was more than just a boxing coach. He was an actual mentor. He was a father figure. He's helped out so many people, and you will never hear about it because he didn't want that out there. He did it out of the kindness of his heart, not for like clout or exposure,
Yeah,
which is why, like, I tend to dislike coaches or have problems with them when, like when you mentioned earlier, when a boxer loses and the coach goes, "Oh, you don't have what it takes." Like, You know what I mean? Because every boxer, they learn at a different pace. They may not
Yes,
get it in the beginning. At some point, it's gonna click. But that also comes that falls on the coach to, find that breakthrough with them, help them reach that breakthrough. But if you give up on them, they'll never reach it. And,
exactly.
and if they do, it's gonna be with somebody else. It's not gonna be with you. So yeah, because yeah, and that's the thing about my coach
Very
Vinny
true.
Ryan. He looked at you as somebody, he looked at you as the future, not just as a boxer, but as a human being. Now, it's almost like because he had his own company, a plumbing company, so he was a plumber.
Okay.
So it's like there's been boxers in his gym where once they were like old enough or whatever, and if he sees that, your worth ethics, he would kind of like offer you a job in the trades. You know how hard it is to get into the trades. It's
Yeah.
like people would cut their foot off just to get an opportunity for an interview to get in the trades, let alone he's basically opening the door for you to walk in and hey, like, come join this. So um
To learn how to be a plumber.
yeah, and it's like that's the point of building the future. It's like, I'm building boxers and now I get to build them into men. So
Yeah,
bring them in and it's like I'm going to teach you everything I know so that you can carry this on and then you know put your part in this world and then you can carry on that knowledge to the next generation. That's what he wanted at
yeah.
the end of the day. That's why my coach was never he never coached pros. He stuck to coaching amateurs at
Okay.
all levels, and even
Yeah,
people who didn't want to box. He was still he saw everybody as human beings. He was there for everybody. He talked to everybody. He took the time for everybody. You know, if he's seen that somebody is struggling and needs a hand, he's there. He's there for you. Even
yeah.
people outside of our gym, he was still there. He had the biggest heart I have ever known, and he even helped out my family a little bit. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
no, definitely. So that's what it was. Like him as a boxing coach, he was definitely more a father figure than just a boxing coach alone. He thought of you beyond boxing. He wanted you to have a solid future outside of boxing. Say boxing isn't going to be your career. It could be. It may not be. But
Yeah,
he always stressed that get your education, have some type of fallback. So he wanted you to grow up to be like a great young individual. So that's what he wanted at the end of the day, and
I, I,
definitely
I, I
influenced a
take
lot of lives.
I take that as a lesson that he taught you, right? Like
Yeah.
that's he not only taught you how to give it your all in the ring as a boxer, but he taught you how to do that with yourself outside of the ring as a man, with your career for work.
Mhm.
I'm assuming, it's also values that you have that you share with your family. You know what I mean? I don't know if you have kids or not, but I'm
I
pretty
never.
sure not yet. Well, it's something that I think that you'll definitely incorporate as you get older. And if you do have kids, that you can share with your kids. And I know for sure by hearing you, you're already sharing it with your students and the guys that you work with on a daily basis. So I really admire you for doing that. Shout out to your coach, Vinny Ryan, rest in peace.
Mhm.
Uh, that's something that I really like to hear those type of stories. Um, so at this stage in your career, you've accomplished a lot in the amateurs. You've had a lot of accolades. You've met a lot of solid pros. What keeps the fire going inside of you to want to continue, not only just to be a coach, but to be around boxing? Like, is there ever a time like you're like, damn, I'm so tired of boxing?
It's the love for the sport.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes you have that love-hate relationship with the sport, but at the end of the day, every boxer will tell you the
I
same thing.
know, bro. Oh
It's
man.
like a toxic relationship, but you
Yeah.
never want to leave because you remember why you got into it in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, you've been so invested in it for so long, and it's shaped you into who you are. It's definitely made a big influence in your life. So how can you just easily walk away from it? You can't really. There's so much because a lot of the good stuff that comes with boxing. And I feel like yeah, that's definitely what's made me, stay behind because all the good things that I've learned, also all the bad things I've learned, I can pass that
Yeah.
on. So with like, the boxers that I coach now, the students, I would tell them it's like, okay, like, don't do this. This isn't gonna work out. Like, you're going to struggle doing it this way. You should do it like this. Now, because everything I'm telling them is what I went through. So that's why I feel like coaches who were former boxers have that advantage in an aspect where they can speak from experience.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where I so that's where I I take the time and I talk to the kids. I tell them about my experience so they can go that same route or not go the same route or whatever didn't work out for me. Say like, okay, I had to cut weight and I did it like this and I felt like this in the ring. I didn't feel good. Don't do that. But I felt, however, I when I cut weight like this and I felt extremely strong on fight night, do something like that.
That's what you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My coach told me about a few of those times where he would take a fight like with a week's notice
Yeah,
and
I've done
cut
that.
serious weight, right? And I like that. I get the utmost respect for you guys being able to do that because obviously, again, I started older and when I was getting into around like my third fight, I was working with another coach and he was like, I want you to drop like 20 pounds. I'm like, bro, like I'm in my mid 30s. I can't just drop that type of that weight like that and feel good about fighting. So I admire you guys being able to do that. Do you think that also shapes and molds your mentality, like having to go up and down and like have those drastic changes and sharing that
Yeah,
with
no, definitely
students?
like, having to go through that, I would definitely say that is not healthy for you to cut. You say, oh yeah, you have a week to go and you got to cut 20 pounds. You're only losing water weight. You're not really losing fat. So
Yeah.
um that is dangerous for the brain at the end of the day. So that's where something if it's like something like that, I will never like, accept a fight like that for one of my fighters, especially when they're kids. Especially when they're kids and it's like, oh yeah, we'll take this fight. Like, oh, we're gonna offer you this fight, but you're gonna have to cut 10 pounds in 5 days. It's time kick rocks. So yeah, I'm not doing that to my kid.
Yeah. No, that's
And it's,
that's good,
yeah,
bro.
especially
Yeah.
in amateur boxing and it's just a club show. No way. You know what I mean? Because in amateur boxing, the biggest fights are tournaments. You're gonna know months ahead of time, if not a year's
Right.
ahead. So
Right.
you have lots of time to prepare for those big fights. So why am I gonna risk the health of my fighters for a little club show for one night? At the end of the day, all you're gonna receive
Not
is
worth
a
it.
medal.
Not worth it.
What I mean, one extra win in your record book. What
Yeah.
it's worth it.
What's the
You
point?
will feel the effects when you get older.
Absolutely. No, that's good advice, man. I think that's something that is not probably spoken about enough. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk about nutrition. There's a lot of talk about weight
Yeah.
classes. Obviously, we have weight classes for a purpose, for a reason, right? But yeah, those drastic cuts.
The
I
problem is, yeah, because the problem is there are some
said the brain damage. It's
oh, it is. We seen the deaths in boxing, and a lot of it comes from, you know, from the training. Not even the fight itself. It's what's happened behind the scenes beforehand. And there's some things that people just did not disclose, like, oh, he got knocked out in sparring before, or he fainted because he was cutting too much weight. There's things that are unspoken of leading into the fight that they don't talk about, that they don't disclose before going into the ring, because you're supposed to disclose certain things and some people just don't. So, and then they go into the ring and they fight and accidents happen.
shady
So
business.
but yeah, that's the problem, because there is a lot of boxers from different parts of the world, boxers and coaches that they didn't really get educated too good. They come
Yeah.
from more unfortunate circumstances. So it's almost like boxing is everything to them, because they feel they have to. Some cases, yeah, they kind of have to, because they don't really have the education um for backup. So it's almost like,
I saw that when I was in Cuba. Um, I went there for a couple weeks back in 2018 for a training camp, and there everything is Olympic style there, and they don't have the resources like food, equipment. A lot of those type of environments. I saw it in the Philippines too when I did a training camp in the Philippines. It's like the boxers have to earn first and foremost, like since there's limited gloves, for example, you have to show you have the footwork, the conditioning before you can even wear a pair of gloves to
yeah,
start, to throw mitts or hit a heavy bag if you have the heavy bag, because there's only like one heavy bag. There's only one set of mitts. There's only limited amount of gloves. So it's kind of like baseball, right? Like when they talk about the Dominicans in baseball, like how they do everything to make it to the big leagues. The Cubans do everything to make it into the boxing and things like that. So
They're the
it's,
best
it's a
boxers in
great
the
point
world.
that you make. Yeah. So speaking of that, then kind of switching gears a little bit, when you
Mhm,
aren't boxing or when you stop boxing,
mhm.
did you start eating your favorite type of food again? Like what did you like to eat? Was it like the pupusas and stuff like that? Or
Oh
was it that
man,
you like to eat, bro?
top three foods: pupusas, pizza, chicken shawarmas. Now, not in order, not in order, but those are the top three.
Not in any order. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chicken
Oh well, I'll
shawarma
add
is
a fourth one
good.
in there: chicken parmesan, like pasta with chicken parmesan.
Ah,
That's the one my coach introduced me to, and I've been loving it ever since. So those are the top four, easily. Um, but that's the thing, because yeah, just after I realized, I'm like, all right, like I'm not gonna compete anymore. Oh yeah, I was just crushing everything. But that's the thing too. That's how fighters become super heavy. It's just, it's no good for the health, because they spend so much time of their life cutting so much weight and everything. It's like they're deprived. Now it's like they're binging, and then it now becomes a new mindset. Like, I'm eating everything I couldn't eat before. That's a dangerous thing to get into, because
no,
um,
no disrespect to
but it's
James
also,
Tony, but we see how James Tony kind of blew.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. But that's what. Well, like Prince Nassim is another one. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I saw him the other day with Lennox Lewis in a video. I was like, that's Prince Nassim?
Yeah, but that's the problem, like, because these guys would binge eat, and they lost the discipline. Or there's even fighters in between. They get huge, and then
Yeah,
they go into their training camp, but I call it fat camp, because they spend all the training camp just losing the weight instead of actually harnessing their skills. So that's why I
okay.
always tell that's why I always tell, like, I always tell people, like, I tell boxers and everything. It's like, why uh you know it's good like once in a while, just go and just, like, binge eat for that day or whatever, eat whatever you want for that one day. But all around, like, just keep the workout up. It doesn't have to be intense as of a training camp leading up to a fight, because that's a different level of intensity. But I mean, in between, yeah, just still go to the gym, work out, like, work out good, uh eat, eat decent, and then say that once a week or whatever, have that good meal, where it's just like have that big meal, whatever. And then,
Exactly. Reward yourself. Yeah, you've done
yeah,
the
it's like
hard
a
work,
it's
but
like a
just try to
reward. Why
maintain
not?
it. Yeah, exactly. That's how I am. Like with once a week, I'll go to my Cuban restaurant down the road and I have my Cuban sandwiches with the rice and beans. And it's just like I have a full plate, because before you try to portion it throughout the course of the week. And I just have like this big meal and I drink a Malta, like just huge
Oh yeah.
bottle. Oh, that's one of my favorite things to have, bro. Um, for fun, what kind of music do you listen to, man? Like who are some of your favorite artists, or what kind
Oh
of
man,
music do you like to listen to?
I love my hip hop, and I actually like EDM music too. There's some R&B. Um, yeah, like definitely those are the top music. So, and right now I've just been on the binge of listening to Michael Jackson again, because the movie trailer is coming out. I'm like, yo, it's every day. It's just a Billie Jeans.
I was just yesterday. I was my late wife's mother-in-law. It was her birthday, and we watched the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal movie and the sounds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think Smooth Criminal was my favorite song from Michael Jackson.
Say that again, bro. Say that
Smooth
again. I
Criminal,
love
Michael
that
Jackson.
song.
My favorite song he's ever done.
I tell everybody that I love his music, but that song is my favorite song, and the video is my
Easy.
favorite video.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. I feel like the probably one of his biggest songs is Thriller.
Absolutely,
Yeah, Thriller.
absolutely.
Yeah, Thriller, Billie Jean, two of his biggest songs. But Smooth Criminal is my favorite one. But yeah, like but 50
Completely
Cent,
agree.
my number one favorite music artist is 50 Cent.
50 Cent, got you. Who's your favorite boxer?
Ooh, that's a favorite boxer of all time, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, got you. That's a good choice. There's
Yeah,
a lot of people who like Mike.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he's reinvented himself too. I have to give a lot of shout out to him and credit to him because he went through a lot of drama, for
Hmm.
lack of a better word, but then he kind of reinvented himself into this guy. He had his podcasts and promotions and things like that.
as
So
they say in okay, so for for the anime fans, they'll know this. So now there's the show Naruto. There's a part in the show where there's a guy who says people don't understand, or like to understand true peace, you had to have gone through pain. You have to know pain to know true peace.
exactly. That's very true. That's an advice in life because you can't appreciate one thing without knowing the other.
Exactly.
You can't appreciate the sun without knowing nighttime.
Yeah, Nick, you can't go through war without seeing, without seeing peace. I mean, you
Exactly.
can't have peace without going through war.
Exactly. All right, man. So now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to do some predictions for some upcoming fights real quick, right? I always like to have these talks, man. These are the
Oh yeah.
usually in the gym, these are the ones that get the most animated. So you can tell me what they're on in November. You've got
Yeah.
the November 22nd, you've got the fights coming up on the zone.
Yeah.
David Benavidez versus Anthony Yard.
Benavides.
Hands down.
David Benavides. He wins. I'm not sure
Either.
how. I feel like it's gonna go to decision because Anthony Yard is a very tough opponent. He's been in with some dogs, and but
And Benavidez is another one.
the dog for sure.
He's
But Benavides, yeah, he's gonna win the fight. I feel like he's gonna win by decision, but it's gonna be like, very clear, a clear one.
So it'll go all rounds
I
and
think
he'll
so.
win by decision. Okay.
If
What
it's not a
about
late stoppage, it'll be a decision.
got you. Jesse Rodriguez versus Fernando Martinez. Daniel Martinez.
Right, good fight, but I'm gonna go with Bam.
I got Bam too. I like
Yeah,
Bam. Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes.
Abdullah Mason. That kid is very very good talent, very special talent. He's definitely in the works to getting a world title shot. If not actually win it, he is extremely good.
Yeah, I think that was the easy choice, hands down. I agree.
Yeah, that was an easy.
Here's a little tricky one.
Hmm.
Maybe it's tricky. I don't know. To me, it's tricky. Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney.
That is a very tricky one because I feel like Devin Haney is the better boxer. He is the
Okay.
better boxer. He knows how to keep you behind his jab. He knows how to move. He knows how to eliminate you from getting in the groove because of his style of moving away a lot and holding. He does quite a lot of that, but he has never been known to be a power puncher. So he may not have the power to really hold back a bigger guy like Norman, because Norman is extremely strong and he is
Yeah.
skilled himself. He's highly skilled. And you've seen that one fight he had, he put that dude to sleep with that hook. And
That Japanese guy?
oh yeah. And Devin Haney, he's kind of, left hooks are his kryptonite. Ask Ryan. And
Absolutely.
Devin
They
Haney's
said
been
that-
taking fights a couple times, so that's the thing. He's a little chinny. However, he has the skill sets to neutralize Brian Norman, especially if he's learned anything from that Ryan Garcia fight. He's gonna learn how to avoid those kind of hooks.
Great advice. That's a good observation.
So, but
So
as of
you got Brian Norman or Devin Haney?
that's tough. That's what I'm thinking. It's tough. I feel like, if Norman does not catch Haney, then Haney's gonna win decision. But if not, then Norman wins it by some type of TK, some type of knockout.
You got to lean towards one. Which one? You're giving me the politically correct answer, bro.
I'm giving okay. I want Norman knockout.
Okay.
I'm
There
going
you
with
go.
Norman knockout.
I agree with you. I like that one also.
Yeah.
Subriel Matias and Dalton Smith.
Ooh, that's tough. Yeah, because the thing is, I haven't seen too much of Dalton Smith, but I know he is no, he is definitely like the little bit that I've seen that guy, he can definitely give Matias problems.
Yeah.
I actually think that as long as Dalton Smith knows how to, like doesn't fall into the phone booth type of fight with Matias, he could beat Matias.
Okay. Okay. So
He
you're leaning towards Smith, maybe.
win the fight.
Okay. Got you. And then, of course, this is one of my favorite guys. And I think I know the answer already. Arturo Beterbiev versus Dion Nicholson.
Oh, Bitterbeef.
Yeah.
Bitterbeef wins it. But
I got you.
I think the only chance the other guy has if Bitterbeef is like, completely aged out.
I've seen his workouts, man.
Yeah, insane.
I don't know what it is about those guys over there.
That's
It's
their life. That's all they do.
oh man.
because
He
those
had,
guys live healthy. They live clean.
did you see the video where he took the sledgehammer to the tire for an hour straight?
Yep, I've seen that. But that's what I'm saying, because those guys, they live and breathe boxing. They they train all day, they train all the time. They don't go party. You don't see them at a bars. You don't see them, out getting drunk or whatever. They're disciplined all the time. And they know their body's like their temple. That's what that's what that's what Nonito Donaire has said to me, that your body's your temple and you got to treat it as such. Bernard Hopkins has also said it. That's why Bernard Hopkins was able to, still fight at 51, 52 years old. And,
Great
he did
example.
he did quite well at that age, because they treated their body like temples. And that's why they're able to last at their age.
That's another great example, bro. I like that you brought up Hopkins because you look at him now, even in his age, and I'm an older guy. I'll be 50 in February, and I see someone like him, a little bit older, but just solid still. He could probably go a solid 3 to 6 rounds now,
Yeah.
maybe longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's a solid example.
Yeah, he is. I think Andre Ward looks like he takes care of himself also.
Yeah, he's a great one. I like his podcast too, man. He's
Yeah,
got some
no, he's
details on
got a
that.
great podcast.
Yeah. So not to finalize this, but I really enjoy having this conversation with you today, and I'm going to let you get back to your family and stuff like that. But two things I want to ask of you. One, who is Rodolfo outside of the boxing ring? And what piece of advice would you give to my audience, people listening today? It can be boxing related, not boxing related, anything that you want, but just advice from Rodolfo Velasquez.
Well, I'm just a guy over here living day by day. I mean, I'm kind of a movie nerd, so I like going to the movies. I like gaming. I like I just like being around the boxing people. And yeah, I definitely like being in the world of boxing. I'm a social person. Like advice I would give definitely would be, you have to absolutely love yourself, because that's the thing. If you don't love yourself, people aren't going to love you the way you love you. You have to absolutely believe in yourself, and everything you do, you have to do with confidence. And you have to learn how to give yourself compliments now, because some people, they'll definitely, criticize themselves. Like, you are your biggest critic, that is for sure. But you also have to show the same amount of love to yourself as you do critiquing yourself. And that's where it balances things out. So your criticism to yourself, it's more like, okay, I did this, how can I do better? And you go for it.
Solid advice, man. And that's a great point for everybody who's paying attention. Love yourself, love those who are close to you. Rodolfo, muchas gracias. I appreciate you having some time to sit with me today. This has been another episode of When Joshua Speaks, Brains, Brawn, and Life with the one and only Canadian champion, Rodolfo Velasquez.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, brother.